But doesn't this action show that the CDF is still very powerful and influential, that even he can arrest someone at the level of a Lord Mayor, a senior politician, and things continue as normal?
What it goes to show is that Muhoozi is not going to be anywhere near leadership in this country. And he continues proving it. I've told you before that he's a mirage. You know what a mirage is? When you're driving on a rainy day and it looks like there's a pool of water in front of you from a distance. When you get there, there's nothing. That's what Muhoozi is.
Indeed.
He's going to get away with everything as long as the father is there. You wait when the father is not there. There's nothing to get away from.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that snippet is Joseph Kabuleta, former presidential candidate. He unleashed what many are describing as one of the most devastating critique yet of CDF Muhoozi Kainerugaba's presidential ambitions. That it is a truth Muhoozi Kainerugaba is unlikely to appreciate. What do you think? Well, he was speaking on his podcast, hosted by my former colleague Idris Chigundu. We used to work together at NBS Television, and this podcast is known as The Morning After with Joseph Kabuleta. Kabuleta poured cold water on the growing narrative that Muhoozi is destined for Uganda's highest office. According to him, Muhoozi's perceived influence is not built on personal achievement or political skill or public support, but almost entirely on the towering shadow of his dad, the dictator thug, sociopath, Yoweri Museveni. Kabuleta argues that Muhoozi has mistaken inherited power for personal power. I think I totally agree. So in this blistering assessment, he contends that Muhoozi Kainerugaba's presidential dream is a little more than a political mirage. It is an illusion sustained by the contained presence of Museveni in State House. So he says that as long as Museveni remains in power, Muhoozi can command fear, he can attract attention, and he can seemingly get away with almost anything, including killing people. But the moment Museveni exits the political stage, that protective shield will vanish. It will disappear. That's what he believes. And even more striking, Kabuleta claimed that Muhoozi appears to have learned all the wrong lessons from his dad. According to him, that while Museveni spent decades building alliances, cultivating political networks, and mastering the art of survival, Kabuleta argues that Muhoozi has instead embraced impunity, arrogancy, and the belief that power comes without consequences. His warning is really simple, but very brutal. When Museveni is no longer in power or around, Uganda will discover whether Muhoozi's influence was real or merely borrowed. For Kabuleta, the answer is already here and clear. Muhoozi will not have as much influence. So that's what we're going to do in this commentary, where we examine Kabuleta's explosive comments and argument. Why has it sparked a debate on social media? I think I saw Bobby Wine shared it. And whether Muhoozi's political future is as secure as his quote-unquote supporters believe. I've seen a few on social media. Oh, generational leader, our generational leader. These are minions. These are simps, 100%. But let's go on and listen to Kabuleta, and then we break this down together.
Joseph, the week has started on a dramatic note. I mean, we have reports that the CDF General Muhoozi Kainerugaba has arrested the former Lord Mayor of Kampala, Elias Lukwago. Of course, Lukwago was supposed to serve summons Muhoozi following a case in which Dr. Besigye sued Muhoozi. I mean, when you look at comments on social media so far, many are saying that this should be a very frightening moment that a CDF can arrest a former such a leader in a manner. Because the reason I'm saying that's because the CDF has confessed that Lukwago is under his detention. But also, in the morning after, I mean, you have been on record saying that, excluding Muhoozi from the entire picture, in the morning after, in the event of when the father leaves office. But doesn't this action show that the CDF is still very powerful and influential, that even he can arrest someone at the level of a Lord Mayor, a senior politician, and things continue as normal?
What it goes to show is that Muhoozi is not going to be anywhere near leadership in this country, and he continues proving it. I've told you before that he's a mirage. You know what a mirage is? When you're driving on a rainy day and it looks like there's a pool of water in front of you from a distance. When you get there, there's nothing. That's what Muhoozi is. So he's going to be a somewhat of it. He's going to have influence and do all these things as long as his father is still alive. But he really is a smoke screen. He's going nowhere and continues to trade. Lukwago was just doing the work of a lawyer.
Okay, let me pause here. I don't want to lose this thought that just came to my mind. Look, I'm really afraid that what he says is true. But I'm afraid of what comes with building loyal folks around you. Look, Museveni has only been in power because people do not know his lawlessness and impunity. But because he surrounded himself with people whose only focus is enriching themselves and protecting the wealth they've plundered from Uganda. They are quite formidable leaders within folks who went and fought along Museveni. But Sam Kahamba Kutesa is pretty much focused on making a lot of money. He's not concerned on who the president is. And I'm afraid that's what you see with Muhoozi Kainerugaba. You let me know what you think. Am I missing something?
Messages lawyer. He was just serving papers. Just serving papers on behalf of his client. Now, those are simple processes of court and so on. Muhoozi could have handled that in any way, even chosen not to go to court, whatever it is he wanted, since he thinks he's, like a king, supreme leader, and all that. But now arresting the man who is serving papers.
And now when you mention a supreme leader, what comes to my mind is the kingdom of North, no, not the king, but they call it the Democratic Republic of North Korea. Look, Kim Il-sung was president or supreme leader of Korea. Then came Kim Jong-il, and now we have Kim Jong-un. The actions of Kim Il-sung prepared them for Kim Jong-il. And when Kim Jong-il died, they have Kim Jong-un. We might think, oh, it's easy. Because I wonder, why isn't Museveni reining in on his son? Probably they've come to a conclusion that, you know what? This is how I sold myself to the Ugandan people. This is the kind of image I sold to them. If you want to do it the Machiavellian way, it is okay. Maybe cruelty, that impunity, the lawlessness, is deliberately doing it to build this persona of you should be afraid of him. Maybe this is, strategy. Would be evil, but nevertheless, it is strategy.
It just shows he doesn't know anything about the processes of government.
Yeah, he doesn't know, like we had Yahya Jammeh. And I'm so glad he says that because there are people, especially in Uganda, that worship power. They see you condemning Muhoozi and they be like, now, Mordecai, will you be president? If you think Muhoozi is stupid, are you going to be president? Really doesn't take wisdom to be president. You can be desperate. You can be strategic, evil strategic. The wisest men are not the... Don't ever look at leaders and be like, oh, this must be the wisest man. Absolutely not. Actually, most people who are deserving to lead are people who have chosen not to. Uh-huh. People you see that they have the ability to lead, but they decide not to. Those are the leaders. But these desperate people, the Museveni, who don't mind whether they kill 100 people, 1,000, 1,000,000, as long as they get power, there's nothing special about them. So I'm so glad that he mentioned he clearly doesn't have it. And it can only be understood by people who don't worship power.
All he knows is entitlement, raw power, and so on.
Arrogance.
And being the son of his father, he has not learned anything from his father. Because, like, his father has the ability to exercise power, but he doesn't do it like that. And
he has the ability to exercise power in an evil way, where he hides the evil he does, but nevertheless it's evil. Muhoozi is openly at manifesting evil.
I don't know if when Museveni sees his son, he thinks that there's any chance that that boy is going to be president.
But
He's
it's
not.
not concerning that he can do such a thing
It's
and get
concerning.
away with it.
He's going to get away with everything as long as the father is there. You wait when the father is not there. There's nothing to get away from. And all the people who are scared, thinking that they are bred in the future, post Museveni rise with Muhoozi, I'm telling you, are backing up the wrong tree. That is a tree that is taking you nowhere.
Look, I'm not opposing him. I hope he's right 100%. I cannot imagine the Muhoozi presidency. That would be hell 2.0. I mean, I can imagine. But I am sorry. When you surround yourself with minions, the likes of Jacob or both, I mean, don't you think that folks within the high command of the UPDF are not able to see what Muhoozi is doing? He's got this Special Force Command, is it SFC? Do you think with the entitlement, and probably I would argue the amount of money they have or they have stolen from the country, do you think they will allow any person just to take over just like that? I want Joseph Kabuleta's prediction to be manifested, to come to fruition. But I'm afraid with the kind of coalitions dictators build, and that's what I'm afraid of Muhoozi.
Look elsewhere, because you will back up that tree and then you will end up with nothing. Because he continually proves himself to be not the kind of person who can run a country. Now, who arrests a lawyer for serving papers and then goes and says you're going to teach him Swahili and all? But I don't want to waste any time with Muhoozi, because in my mind he does not exist as the morning after. Okay? Actually, his father is more relevant in the morning after than his son. So in my mind, it doesn't exist. So let's not waste time with him, and let's go to things that actually matter.
Yeah, so let's move on to the budget. The budget.
Okay, they moved on to another topic. Let me know what you think. I want his prediction to be true. Like I said, I think I saw Bobby Wine retweeting this. I'm going to have to show you here. This is Bobby Wine said, there you are. You know, this was Kabuleta's comments, and then it says, there you are. You know, SMJ and I would, you know, then Bobby Wine was responding to what Muhoozi was tweeting. I want the argument of Joseph Kabuleta to come to fruition, where Muhoozi doesn't even come close to the office of the president. Not even RDC, not even chairperson of anything. But I'm afraid with what money does to people and the accumulation of wealth. I want to believe the likes of Jacob both Tayebwa and others, no Muhoozi for. Let me give you an example. Anita Among. They knew she wasn't qualified for the job. Maybe she was, but they also her arrogance, all the kind of manner she was treating the members of parliament. But do you realize that 98 or 99% of them actually bowed down to her? Do you know why? Because they knew that in the end, she would give them some money. So I'm afraid that Museveni might leave power, and then you have self-serving opportunists in our government who will back Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Because we look back in history and we'll be like, how did Idi Amin Dada was in power for more than 8 years? Do you know how? because he had people who were not so much concerned about them being president. All they wanted was proximity to power so that they can do whatever they wanted and accumulate more wealth. And that's my fear.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.